Hi y'all, this is Mrs. Keith. I kind of wanted to explain some of these problems on inscribed angles, the practice that we had for that day. It seems like a few of y'all were struggling, and so I thought a video might help see some of this. So recall things like, opposite angles on if you have a four-sided figure inscribed inside of a circle, then the opposite angles add up to be 180. So you would do 180 minus 119. To get that this angle right here is 61. And then same thing here, you could do 180 minus 65 to get that this angle right here is 115. So that might help you with some of those angles. That doesn't help me a ton with this problem, but I just want to make sure I explain that. So one thing we need to think about is this angle right here where the 119 is, this angle is an inscribed angle, because its vertex right here is on the circle. So if that angle is 119, that means that this whole arc right here that lies between the sides of that angle should be twice as big as that 119. So if I do 119 times 2, I get that this whole arc should be 238 from here to here. So if I want to know what this arc right here is, FG, I'm going to do 238 minus 168 because those two arcs should add up to be 238. And I get that that's 70 degrees right there. Okay, so now that I know that, I'm trying to find this question mark right here. So I'm going to also use the 65 over here. I'm going to change my highlighter color real quick. Okay, this angle 65, which is also an inscribed angle, its sides are right here. So this arc from here to here should be twice as big as that 65. So it should add up to be 130. Okay, so that means that you've got this 70 and this arc over here, the FV arc needs to combine with that 70 to be 130. So that makes this arc 60. So the question mark is 60 degrees. Okay, so let's do number 10 together. On number 10, we've got this inscribed angle right here. Those are the sides of that angle. It's inscribed because its vertex is on the circle. That means that the arc that lies between the sides of the angle has to be twice as big as that angle measure. So this over here is going to be 190. Okay, and then when you combine that 190 plus 75 plus the question mark, what we're trying to figure out, they should all add up to be 360. So when you solve for that, you'll end up getting the question mark is 95. So this should be 95 right here. All right, let's do the next one. Okay, same thing kind of as what we did with number 9. You've got this angle right here that's 110. But I want you to remember that the angle that's across from it, because this is a four-sided figure inscribed inside of a circle, those angles that are across from each other have to add up to be 180. So this angle will have to be 70 degrees. So then when you think about the sides of that angle, which is an inscribed angle because its vertex is on the circle, the arc that lies between the sides of that angle has to be twice as big. So this is 140. So now you can set up an equation because this 50 and this 30x have to combine to be that 140. So 50 plus 30x will equal 140, which makes 30x equal to 90. So x equals 3. And we've solved that problem. Now remember on your quiz, you might be asked to find what is arc PQ? And you would need to plug that back in, and so it would be 90. On this, it just asked me to solve for x, but I just wanted to make sure I covered that as well. Okay, number 12, you've got, again, an inscribed angle because its vertex is on the circle. So the arc that lies between the sides of the angle should be twice as big. So that makes this angle right here, the 31x plus 3, it's going to equal half of that 192, which is 96. So that's the equation we're going to set up. And then solving that, I get again that x equals 3. Okay, let's do one more. Hang on. Okay, problems like 13, you should think about the fact that this right here is a diameter. So it cuts a circle in half, which makes this whole arc on this side of it, it's going to be 180 degrees. So then those two arcs, the 13x minus 10 plus the 7x minus 10, they're going to add up to be 180, and then you can solve that one from there. Problems like number 14, you're asked to find arc FGH. Well, you've got to go in order with those letters. So you start with F, you go through G, and you go all the way over here to H. Well, if you'll notice, that's going to be the inscribed, well, it goes with the inscribed angle right here, FAH. So once you get this angle measure, you should be able to double it, and that will be what that arc measure is. And then you also need to remember that these two angles, they're across from each other in a four-sided figure inscribed in a circle. So that means they need to add up to be 180. So an equation you're going to start with is 21x minus 2 plus 38x plus 5 equals 180. Once you get that, you can plug that in for x on this angle right here, and then double it to get that arc. I'm not going to work through it. I'm going to let y'all practice it. And please, if you have questions, come to my Zoom tutorials. I would love to walk through it with you. On numbers 15 and 16, they're a little harder because you have to do a system. I'm going to do one of them with you. I'm going to move this up a little bit. 1 second. Oh, it won't let me move it up. So let's just start. Okay, so opposite angles are going to add up to be 180. So you'll set up one where it says 10x plus 16y plus 6 equals 180. And then you'll have the other ones, the 4 plus 18y plus 10x minus 6 equals 180. Okay, now you have two equations. You had to have two equations because you have two variables. I'm going to simplify each of those. So the top one would simplify to be 10x plus 16y equals, I'm going to move the 6 over to the other side, so it'll be 174. On the other equation, I'm gonna write it in the same order with the x's and the y's lined up, so it'll make it easier to solve. So I'm going to put the 10x first, and then the 18y, and then when I combine 4 and negative 6, I get negative 2, and when I move the negative 2 over, I'm going to be adding it, so it'll be a positive 182. And now I can solve it from there. So when you solve this, you want if you did this by elimination, you want your x's and your y's and your numbers lined up like we have them. You want one of the letters to have the same number but different signs. So I'm going to distribute a negative through this one, and that way I can combine these two. So when you add these two equations, these are eliminated. These two combine to be negative 2y, and these two combine to be a negative 8. That makes y equal to 4. Once you get what y is equal to, you can plug it into either one of those equations and solve for x. And then, so let me do that real quick. I'm gonna plug it into this first equation right here. I'm gonna say 10x plus 16 times 4 equals 174. So 10x plus 64 equals 174, which makes 10x equal, when I move the 64 over, this will be 110, which makes x equal to 11. So my solution is x equals 11 and y equals 4. Okay, again, please come to the Zoom tutorials or email me and I'll set up a separate Zoom tutorial for you if this doesn't make sense. These are on the quiz and they're pretty hard, so please let me know if it doesn't make sense. Thanks.